That evening I wrote up the first part of my account of the day's events, but was unable to finish it as I had an engagement. On the following evening I continued the account, sitting in my back room in front of the gas fire. The room was comfortable and quiet. The material was coming with fluency. There were no barriers, no hold-ups. I usually feel when I'm writing up accounts of my experiences that I am being overlighted and will neither forget anything essential nor embellish the account. At the moment, Pan is sitting in the armchair almost opposite me, where he has been since I began writing. Did all those exchanges actually take place the other day in the Botanics? Or are you giving me more now while I'm writing? Am I adding anything myself? It's important to me that it is authentic. Of course it is important. It is authentic, as you well know in your own higher being. You are adding nothing. Our exchanges took place in the form of images and symbols as usual. Some of these were not fully realized into words by your mind at the time, but they were deeply impressed into your unconscious level and are now being realized into words under my guidance. I am overlighting you during the whole of this transcript. Nothing is being left out and nothing added that should not be there. Personal coloration on your part is kept down to the minimum. When we go through it together later on, if there are any mistakes or wrong transcriptions, I will give you the correction. Proceed in faith. Thank you for the reassurance. I am always aware of the danger of false transcription or coloration. Very wise. Now, I want to return to your life at Cowford Cottage. I want to be certain that you consciously realize its full significance in your development. What am I not realizing? I'm well aware of the importance of the close contact with nature. At that time, you knew nothing about so-called power points and their associated ley lines. That is true. Does it surprise you to learn that there was a powerful nature point in the wood behind the outhouses? It certainly does. I looked at him startled. In spite of your present knowledge and experience of such points, it has never occurred to you to think back to your cottage days? No. I suppose knowledge gained at a later date is not always carried back to an earlier time. Behind the outhouses, you said. That must have been about the middle of the wood. Yes. Once more the mischievous twinkle appeared in Pan's eyes. It was the exact spot you chose to sunbathe on and surrounded by the windbreaker you built. I must really have looked startled this time. Oh, no. This is fantastic. It is true. All through the 10 years you lived in the cottage, every time you sunbathed, you lay naked on the ground on a power point, with only a thin waterproof sheet between you and the earth. Rubber does not insulate you from these energies, but I felt nothing, except a charge of energy which I thought was coming from the sun. I knew instinctively it was the right spot to sunbathe on. You were not so sensitive in those days. You were lying in the air, on the earth, in the sun's rays, and afterwards you bathed in the pool you had made by damming the stream that ran past the cottage. The sun symbolizes fire, so you had close and frequent contact with the 4 elements you talk about over a long period. Is it any wonder that you can communicate with the entities that inhabit those elements? During those 10 years, all your bodies were being prepared and conditioned by the energies of that power point. I was so astonished, I could only sit and stare at him. Not only was it a nature power point, but it was also associated with pre-Christian religious ceremonies and rituals of a druidic nature. Now you understand what I mean when I ask if you fully realize the significance of your stay at the cottage. Also, remember it was on a hillock and surrounded by wood. I drew a deep breath. At the time, All I knew was that it was the right place for me. It certainly was. And now I think that is all for the moment. When I had finished writing, I closed my notebook. Pen had ceased to be visible. As a postscript, Pen had inferred that somehow, though I had been chosen by them, I had in some way started it myself. Preparing this talk for the Findhorn Conference in autumn 1974, I believe I now have the answer.